Hello and welcome to Kashmatics. In this lesson, I'll be showing you how to answer direct proportion questions. I'll also be extending the topic and show you variations such as when y is directly proportional to x squared, x cubed and the square root of x. There's plenty of questions to practice and by the end you should be comfortable with the technique. So grab yourself a pen and some paper and let's get started. When two things are in direct proportion, it means they increase at the same rate. So if you were to double one, you'd double the other. If you were to halve one, you'd halve the other. And it's a bit like when you go and exchange currency. If you're exchanging between pounds and dollars, for example, if you gave twice as many pounds, you'd expect twice as many dollars. Or if you gave half as many pounds, you'd expect half as many dollars. Or if you gave 5 times as many pounds, you'd expect 5 times as many dollars. Right, so moving on, we need to understand some notation. If y is directly proportional to x, this can be written as y with this funny symbol, okay, which means proportional to x. Now we need to turn this into an equation, and what we need to do is introduce something called a constant of proportionality, and the usual letter we give it is k. So if I want to turn this into an equation, it becomes y is equal to k times x. Okay, so this is the relationship we're going to aim to find, and we're going to try and find what that letter k is, the value of the letter k. Now, before we do any examples, we need to look at an important skill. So a useful skill is being able to rearrange the equation once you've got it in order to make x the subject. So for example, if the relationship was y equals 7x, if I was to divide both sides by 7, I get y divided by 7 equals x. So I can use this version of it to actually work out x if I know what y is. Okay, so this is going to be really useful when it comes to answering questions. So pause the video and make some notes and then we'll go on to some examples. Now this example here is typical of the type of question you're going to get. Now it might be contextualized, so it might be put into a situation, but essentially this is the kind of thing that you end up with. You're told that y is directly proportional to x, and when x equals 5, y is 30. And we have to find the value of y when x equals 4 and the value of x when y equals 12. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this information into a table, because all the questions I'm going to give you are going to be given to you in a table without all the words. So it's important to understand where everything comes from. So we've got a complete set of values here. We've got the value of y and x. Okay, so when x is 5, y is 30. So I can say when x is 5, y is 30. And I want to work out what y is when x equals 4. So I'm going to try and work out what this value here is. And I want to work out what x is, so this value here, when y equals 72. All right, so this is the same information from this question, just put into a table instead. So let's go ahead and answer the question. So we're told y is directly proportional to x. Let's write that down first. So y is directly proportional to x. And let's turn that into an equation. So that means y is equal to k multiplied by x. So y equals kx. Then I'm going to plug in this information here. So y is equal to 30. So replace the y with 30 is equal to k multiplied by x. So k multiplied by 5, which I can write as 5k. Now I need to work out what k is. So if I divide everything by 5, I get k equals 6. Okay, so that's an important point to reach. And what I do then is I plug the k back into this equation to get y is equal to 6x. Okay, so this here is our relationship between y and x. And in a question you might ask to find the relationship between y and x. So that's the first point we need to reach. So let's just write that over here. So y is equal to 6x. And what we're going to do now is we're going to plug in x equals 4 because I want to work out what y is when x equals 4. So when x equals 4, y would equal 6x, so 6 multiplied by x, so in this case 6 times 4, which is 24. So I can say when x equals 4, y equals 24. So that's the first part of the question answered. And then I need to do what I said before. I need to rearrange this to make x the subject. So y divided by 6 is equal to x, and I know that when y is equal to 72, if I do 72 divided by 6, I'm going to get x. So 72 divided by 6 is 12, which means x is equal to 12. And I put that over here. So I've answered the question now. Now what I want you to do is pause the video so you can take all of that in, because I'm going to give you a load of questions based on that, and you're going to need to understand this in order to do them. Right, so here's 6 questions for you to try. Pause the video and I'll put up the answers shortly. So the answers are coming up in 3, 2, 1, and here they are. Okay, so underneath each table, I've got the relationship between y and x, and the numbers in the table are the missing values you needed to find. Now here we've got a slightly different relationship. It says y is directly proportional to x squared. Okay, so please pay attention to the details. Okay, so it's proportional to x squared, not x. And when x equals 4, y equals 80. So that's a complete pair of values there. And we want to work out what y is when x equals 7 and what x is when y equals 605. So just like before, let's just fill in the table first. So we know that when x equals 4, y equals 80. And we want to work out what y is when x equals 7. Okay, so we're going to try and work out this value. And we're going to try and work out what x is when y equals 605. So that's this value here. So the first thing we do is, just like before, we need to write down the relationship. So y is proportional to x squared. Okay, so that's the slight difference in what we had before. And we write y is equal to kx squared for our equation. Okay, let me just write that a little bit neater. Okay, so then we plug in our pair of values. So x equals 4 and y equals 80. So y is 80, so 80 is equal to k multiplied by 4 squared. So k times 4 squared. So 80 is equal to 16k, because 4 squared is 16. So I need to divide by 16 here. So if I divide by 16, I get 5 is equal to k. All right, and just like before, I plug that back into here, and I get y is equal to 5x squared. Okay, so that is my relationship between y and x. So let's just write that over here. Y is equal to 5x squared, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of the values. All right, so when x equals 7, so when x equals 7, y equals 5 multiplied by 7 squared. So that would be 5 multiplied by 49, which is 245. Okay, so over here we put 245, and then I need to rearrange this. Now we need to be careful. It is similar to what we had before, but when I rearrange it, I get y divided by 5 is equal to x squared. I'm going to leave it like that for now, because I want to plug in y equals 605. Okay, so 605 divided by 5 is equal to x squared, and 605 divided by 5 is 121. So 121 is x squared. Okay, so if you know what x squared is, to work out x you need to do the square root, which means x is equal to the square root of 121, which is 11. Okay, so 11 goes here. So you need to be slightly more aware of what's going on, because this time you've got x squared rather than x. Okay, so you need to think about how you're going to work out x once you've worked out what x squared is. So pause the video if you need to and take it all in. And if you need to watch it again, please watch it again, because we're going to have some questions to do in a moment. So here's 6 questions for you to try. Remember, in these ones, y is directly proportional to x squared. All right, so take your time, show all you're working, make sure you've got that relationship written down, and think about how you're going to work out what x is once you know what y is. All right, so yeah, pause the video and give it a go. And I'm going to reveal the answer in 3, 2, 1, and there you go. So just like before, I've got the relationship underneath the table and the missing values in the table. Now in this example, y is directly proportional to x cubed. So not x squared, but x cubed. And we're told when x equals 5, y equals 375. And we need to work out what y is when x equals 7 and what x is when y equals 192. So just like before, let's fill in the table first. So when x equals 5, y equals 375. And we're going to work out what y is when x equals 7 and what x is when y equals 192. So these are the 2 missing values we're going to work out. So by now, you should be able to work out how I'm going to write this relationship. So it's going to be y is proportional to x cubed, which means y is equal to kx cubed. So hopefully you're able to work that out for yourselves. And you should know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to plug in the values of y and x. So y is 375. is equal to k multiplied by 5 cubed. So 375 is equal to k multiplied by 125, so 125k. And if I divide both sides by 125, I get k is equal to 3. So I'm going to plug that in there to get y is equal to 3x cubed. All right, so this is the relationship between y and x. So let's write that relationship up here. So y is equal to 3x cubed. And let's plug in our values of x and y to get the corresponding values. So when x equals 7, y would equal 3 multiplied by 7 cubed. So that'd be 3 multiplied by 343, which gives me 1029. So that can go in our table, 1029. And then I need to rearrange this. So y divided by 3 is equal to x cubed. So remember, this is x cubed now, so I need to think about what I'm going to do with it. When y is equal to 192, I get 192 over 3 is equal to x cubed. So 64 is equal to x cubed. And if I know what x cubed is, I need to do the cube root to work out what x is. So the cube root of 64 is 4, which means x equals 4. So let's plug that in here. And that's that question done. So just like before, pause the video and absorb all that information. And if you need to watch it again, please watch it again before you do the questions. So here's 6 questions for you to try. Remember, the relationship is y is directly proportional to x cubed. Pause the video and I'll give you the answers shortly. So the answers are coming up in 3, 2, 1, and there you go. All right, so you've got the missing numbers in the tables and the relationship underneath each table. So on to our final example, and in this one we're told that y is directly proportional to the square root of x, and we're told when x equals 9, y equals 9, and we're going to work out what y is when x equals 16 and work out what x is when y equals 15. So let's just fill in the table as before. So I'm sure you understand where these numbers are coming from now. Okay, so that's the table partially filled in. Now the relationship, I'm hoping you can guess, would be y is proportional to the square root of x, like that. And to change that into an equation, it'd be y is equal to k multiplied by the square root of x. And just like before, I plug in these values. Okay, when y equals 9, it'd be k multiplied by the square root of 9. Okay, because x is 9 as well. So 9 is equal to k times the square root of 9. So square root of 9 is 3. So k times 3 is 3k. And if I divide by 3, I get 3 equals k. Okay, or k equals 3. So plugging that back in, I get y is equal to 3 times the square root of x. Okay, so this is the relationship between y and x. So let's write it up here. Y equals 3 times the square root of x. And let's plug in our value of x. So when x equals 16, y would equal 3 multiplied by the square root of 16. Now the square root of 16 is 4, and 3 times 4 makes 12. Alright, so I can plug that value in here. And then I need to rearrange it. So y divided by 3 equals the square root of x. So be careful here, you've got the square root of x, not x. And let's plug in our value of y. So when y equals 15, 15 divided by 3 is the square root of x. Now 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5 is the square root of x. So if I know what the square root of x is, to work out x I'd have to square it. So 5 squared is 25. So 25 is equal to x. And I can put that in here. Okay, so that's that question done. So just as before, pause the video and make some notes, or watch it again if you need to, and then we'll go on to some questions. So here's 6 questions for you to try. Remember, y is directly proportional to the square root of x. Pause the video and I'll give you the answers shortly. So I'm going to reveal the answers in 3, 2, 1, and there you go. Okay, so just check through those and see if you got them right. And that's all there is for this tutorial. I will be making another one on inverse proportion, but thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you'll be back for another tutorial. Goodbye for now.